Two strangers on the last train. The New York subway was unusually crowded that night. The storm outside had cut off several lines, leaving passengers stranded in one narrow, flickering car. Among them sat Ethan, a young man with a shaved head, worn leather jacket, and the kind of cold stare that warned others not to make eye contact. Across from him sat Samira, a Muslim woman in her late 20s, her headscarf damp from the rain, clutching her tote bag like a shield. The two noticed each other immediately, not out of curiosity, but out of judgment. Ethan muttered under his breath, "Just loud enough. Figures. Can't even ride the subway without one of them around." Samira's jaw tightened. She didn't respond, but her eyes burned. She thought, another ignorant American, always assuming I don't belong here. The silence between them was heavy, toxic. Neither realized how many other passengers were sneaking glances, sensing the tension. Then, with a deafening screech, the train jolted to a sudden stop. Lights flickered, then went dark. For a moment, the only sound was the distant rumble of thunder and the panicked whispers of strangers. A voice crackled through the intercom. "Attention passengers, power outage across the line. We'll get you moving as soon as possible. Please remain calm." But people rarely remain calm in the dark. A man at the far end of the car began shouting, demanding answers. A mother tried to hush her crying child. Somewhere behind Ethan, a teenager started hyperventilating. Samira reached instinctively into her bag and pulled out a small flashlight. The beam cut through the blackness, landing on Ethan's face. For the first time, she saw the sharp lines of anger soften, just slightly, in the glow. "Here," she said reluctantly, offering him the flashlight. "You look like you can handle yourself better than most." Ethan blinked, surprised. "Why would you?" "Because panic spreads faster in the dark," she interrupted. He took the flashlight, still suspicious. "Don't think this changes anything." Samira almost laughed, though there was no humor in it. "Trust me, I don't." Minutes dragged into an hour. The air grew thick, restless. Ethan and Samira, despite themselves, became the makeshift leaders of the car, helping a child find her lost toy, calming the teenager with short breaths, checking on an elderly man who was trembling. And then the real test came. A sudden spark erupted from the corner panel, filling the car with smoke. Passengers screamed, pushing, shoving toward the sealed doors. Chaos erupted. Ethan, acting on instinct, shoved his jacket into the smoke to smother it. Samira used her scarf to cover the mouth of the coughing child. They moved together without thinking, strangers bound by survival. When the smoke cleared, the two collapsed onto the same bench, coughing, eyes watering. For the first time, they truly looked at each other, not as symbols of what they hated, but as human beings who had just fought side by side. Ethan broke the silence first, his voice hoarse. "You know, my brother died overseas, in a war I didn't even understand. Ever since then He stopped, ashamed. Samira lowered her gaze. "I'm sorry. My father died too. Not in a war, in this very city. He was mistaken for someone dangerous. Wrong place, wrong time." The words hung between them, heavy with irony. Two lives torn apart by prejudice, sitting on opposite sides of the same tragedy. It was an ugly realization, an accidental mirror. Neither spoke for a long while. The subway car was quiet now, passengers exhausted, soot on their faces. Finally, Ethan whispered, almost to himself, "Maybe we're both just tired of hating." Samira looked at him, her expression softening. "Maybe." At last, the train lurched forward, the lights humming back to life. A cheer rose from the passengers, relief flooding the car. But Ethan and Samira didn't join. They just sat there, side by side, carrying a new, unspoken understanding. When the train finally reached the station, Ethan stood first. He hesitated, then turned to Samira. "You kept everyone calm tonight. Guess I was wrong about you." Samira gave a faint smile. "Guess I was wrong about you too." They didn't exchange numbers. They didn't promise to stay in touch. But as they stepped off the train into the stormy night, Both carried something heavier and lighter than before. A lesson carved not by kindness alone, but by fire, smoke, and the bitter taste of prejudice faced and overcome. Because sometimes the hardest truth is that the people we think we despise are the ones we